Oh, okay. My microphone was muted. Newbie mistake. You can hear me now? Yeah. Welcome, Ed Times. Let's start again. This time for real. Thank you for joining us. My name is Carlota. You might know me as Kinodelf. I'm the community manager for Byte Crew. You might have seen me around Discord if you're in the Discord. And if you're not in the Discord, what are you waiting for? Join us. I just left you the link there. You might know me if you're on Discord, but we thought it would be a very good idea to kidnap Daniel here, our creative director, and force him to answer some questions for you guys. So, welcome, Daniel.
Hi, and thank you. Glad to be here / kidnapped.
And why are we here, you ask? Well, community building is very important for us as a team. We want to be close to you all guys, and we want to have to build up a very transparent and honest communication with you, as transparent as we can, because we always have to keep some secrets here and there. But after the CBT and how much you guys were involved with the game and enjoying it and giving us a lot of feedbacks, we thought it was only fair to give back to you a bit and answer some of your questions. So that's what we are here today. We gathered some questions through Discord, and Daniel will be answering them. So to start, let's talk about a bit about Void Crew, because not everyone here might know about the game. So Daniel, can you tell us a bit about Void Crew and what is it all about?
Thanks, Claude. I'm happy to be here, and I'll see how good I can answer some of those questions. I'll try. So first off, Void Crew is a co-op sci-fi adventure. We are who do games. We love sci-fi, and we love co-op games, bringing people together, making bonds, as well as new relationships. Void Crew is set in space on board a spaceship with a crew of up to 4 players, where you have to prepare a ship, battle swarms of enemies, and repairing the battle scars and getting ready for more. Void Crew is based on 3 prime pillars. We have co-op, we have tactile mechanics, and we have epic space battles, all leading to frantic co-op fun with the quirky elements of what we call happy accidents. Who doesn't like being torched by engine thrusters, squished by inertia force, or an involuntary spacewalk, Carlotta's favorite? It is a first-person game where players really have to work together to succeed in the quest ahead. And yes, accidents will happen, and they are to be celebrated, especially since the other person is to blame, right? Right, Carlotta?
Yeah, it's never my fault. I can tell you that.
Yeah. It's the third person's. Yes.
So, the game is not yet released, but is it possible to play right now?
Well, we just had a closed beta test, which was over expectations, really popular. It was quickly filled up with the planned amount of players. We actually had to increase the cap. And we had a lot of good feedback from the community. We might do more, but it's not decided yet, and there's no dates. But one thing's for sure, we can't wait to get the game into the hands of players again.
Yeah, and have them like do crazy things, like somewhere we're doing like playing catch with power cells and stuff like that. You guys are very creative. So talking about the creation of Void Crew, what inspired you to make the game? What made you think like, yeah, I have to create this game?
So we wanted to make a co-op game we could play ourselves. We thought with so many shooters around, we wanted to build something that was different. And again, it seems so obvious for us to build this game. So fun story, one of the thoughts originated when I was playing with my brother, and he of course also loves co-op games. And we had difficulty finding co-op games that we liked, or we just churned through them. So why not build what we wanted to play? So a game that we wanted to play with friends or fight with siblings over.
Yeah, the more you love your sibling, the more you fight with them. That's a
That's true love.
universal rule. So, you talk about loving co-op games. I'm sure you got some stuff from those games you love as inspiration for Void Crew. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So first off, there's a lot of really good games out there. I think for inspiration for Void Crew, there are 3 in particular that I think is worth mentioning. So the first and most obvious one is probably FTL, Faster Than Light. So imagine you're playing that game, and then you think about what would it feel like if I dived into and became one of those crew members? What would it be if that was first person, real time? How would you operate the ship? How would you control the cannons? How would you operate the doors? How would this be in first person? And even better, what if those other crew members were your friends or siblings, that were doing their part? So one thing with FTL is that it's a God views game. You see it from top down, you have all the information. But what if we remove that God aspect? And instead, each crew member is enveloped with their own perspective information, and together they become um, gain that God aspect, and then can work together and solve the challenges ahead. And with that as well, if you look at FTL, two more things that make sense for FTL is the shared value between the crew members, which is the hull, right? As individuals, it doesn't matter if you die, if you have an accident, because for the greater scheme of things, it's your hull. If the ship blows up, you're a goner. And the last thing I think that's important from FTL that we think was a very good design was the modularity towards approach towards weapons and systems, so that in Void Crew you can install weapons, uninstall them, and install auxiliary systems, so that you can adapt to the situation and progress in terms of power. So another game I think is worth mentioning would be Left 4 Dead. So Left 4 Dead, one of my favorite co-op games, it's a lot about fighting back to back. They stay together or you die separate. I think they really nail that. Right? This is the ship is tied together. This is the ship ties the band together, so to speak. There's intense combat and there's a power progression, but also attrition. Attrition being that you slowly lose your ship health. You can regain some of it, but you're never going to be as strong. But you're going to have better equipment. So that balance between those.
Yeah, so you feel a bit the pressure.
Exactly. The pressure builds up, but at the same time, power progression as you get more weapons and modules to work with. And I think the third one is a bit of a stretch, but hear me out. Overcooked. So visuals aside, it's a lot about the happy accidents where frantic collaboration between the players. Everything goes well until someone runs out. They run out of dishes, and then somebody has to break what they're doing and kind of compensate and also do dishes. And that, in terms of game design, I love that it's a set of series of actions that players have to do to operate the spaceship. But under pressure, that really pushes, team communication and puts the team to the test.
Yeah, definitely. I see a lot of Overcooked in Void Crew. Like Luca was saying in the chat, never saw those parallels, but they actually fit, and it's true. I can see a lot of the chaos, especially of Overcooked, and that pressure of each one have their task and they have to perform it in order for the full team to work and for the mission to be completed.
Exactly. And no matter how easy it is for them to work together, we know that eventually communication is going to break down. It's just going to
shouting will happen, explosions will happen, that kind of thing. So, back to that question, you talk about games that inspired you you took themes from for Void Crew. But Luca, that's here in chat, asked on Discord, what were the biggest inspirations from the game in any medium? So apart from games, were any TV shows, movies, books, board games that inspired you for Void Crew?
Hi, Luca, and thanks for the questions. There's a lot of good material out there. I know you guys have a lot as well, but for me, I think the TV, it would probably be The Expanse, the epic space battles from Expanse. I think Firefly is one of my favorites, Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars and Star Trek, of course. In terms of books, I would probably go with David Weber's on Basilisk Station. I'm still reading it, so no spoilers. And of course, board games. If you haven't tried them, I'd recommend Space Alert and Galaxy Trucker, or some of my mentions, noteworthy mentions.
Yeah, I love that Star Wars was an inspiration because, in case you haven't noticed, wait. I kind of like Star Wars, so
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So another question from our dear Luca, which is our more prolific question asking person. I don't know, I'm a potato. How did it feel to read feedback from players during CVT, knowing the original vision and path for the game? Was it a surprise, or were many things expected?
I would say it's always intimidating, but also very exciting to let players play a game for the first time. There are things that we thought would just be problems, and players just understood those out of the gate. And then there was stuff that was we thought we had covered that just completely like was not understood. So that means some priorities had to be shifted, which is kind of the point of a CBT, right? I think the primary takeaway for me was the distinctions between learning and discovering. The players enjoying discovering some of the mechanics that we thought we had to teach, and then get this aha moment instead of giving them an IKEA manual, where other stuff that we thought were completely, easy, it clearly needs more better explanation and handholding. So it's a fine line of where we want to keep the aha moments, or somebody tells you and shares with you discovery, but without, too much handholding. So it just becomes a rail shooter, right?
Yeah, definitely, it's a very fine line to walk. Like, it's important for the team and to get this. We don't want to give you everything done or take your hand and walk you through the ship, but we also don't want people to get frustrated trying to learn how to play the game. So there's a balance
Exactly.
there that gets complicated.
And I think a lot of the feedback helped us kind of hone in on what those elements were.
Definitely, definitely. Feedback is very, very valuable. So, next question is from Mobist25. Will there be a more complex loadout system? For example, will it be like Deep Rock Galactic or Barotrauma, where each loadout has something different yet essential to the crew? If not, what will different loadouts change?
So I'm assuming here that the personal loadout, this means personal loadout, like for each crew member and not the ship itself. Just go that way. So just to give an idea of how we design the play roles, we think of them as fluid, as in each crew member can cover for the other crew members. So there's no one pilot. So you can jump out, do something else, someone else can jump in and fly it. We have a perk system which allows players though to gain benefits for different roles so that they can be better at it, but it doesn't make the other players obsolete in said role. So that being said, I cannot tell you. We may or may not have plans for the future to make player roles and abilities, loadout, so to speak, a lot more varied and interesting.
So, already starting with I cannot tell you this, but these developers, you know. Next question is from Sixtus, and it's another question about things that might or might not come into the game, and it's any plans to add fighter drone bays as weapons to be controlled from a system within the ship?
So, Sixtus, I'm glad you asked. As part of the CBT, this also comes back to some value that we get from the CBT, is validating our plans, our future plans compared to player expectations. So I can't say anything really about installing a fighter drone bay other than that sounds really cool and fun.
It does sound very cool and fun. Um, what I can say is just join our Discord, follow us on Twitter, keep on
They'll
top
be the
of
first to know.
news. Yeah, if it
You may or may not be
happens,
the first to know.
if it happens, if it does happen, you might be the first one to know. So, next one, a short one. This question is from Splitcore Gaming, and this is a cheeky one, a bit putting you in a hard spot. So, why have ice shard storms been designed in a way that they are always aiming at ships on spawn?
Yeah, karma is evil. No, yes, you got us there. The long version is optimization, network stuff. We had to limit the amount of asteroids getting toward the players. So we wanted to make them relevant, just aiming at the player. We could optimize this further with determinism to have the entire sector bombarded, or have like some far off just asteroid indications so that you would get the illusion of it. But part of the CBT is also validation of mechanics. So the purpose of the asteroid, the ice shard storm, is to add some spice to go to a new sector. And we wanted to make sure that spice was right before we start going into and optimizing it and making it completely all rounded. And we also need to know, was the illusion good enough, or do we need to add another layer to it to make that consistent and immersive? So again, this is a good example of what kind of feedback we get back from the CBT. So it's like, okay, the illusion is not completely airtight. We need to add a more another layer to it.
Yeah, definitely something can be found. Players will end up finding it. So I will say this a million times, and you might think I'm annoying saying it that many times, but your feedback is we're very thankful for it, and it's very valuable. So keep it
Well,
coming
technically, I
throughout
said
this
that too.
process. Yeah, keep finding stuff. So next question is from one of my favorite nicks and one of the ones that is the hardest to pronounce for me, which is radioactive lobster. Hey, I did it good this time.
It was perfect.
Yay! So we already have a selection of bling from the egg type for the egg types. For those that don't know, egg types are what we call the characters in the game. But what about the ship itself? Might we get the chance to customize the deck or exteriors of the ships we crew? Whether that's simple color palette swaps or changes in the layout. For example, rundown looking interior with hanging wires and distressed paneling versus the clean, sleek, good look we currently have.
So that's another great question, radioactive lobster, which similarly relates to the fighter drone bay. It's something that players would really enjoy. Is it something the community wants? Sure, the game works without it, but is it? But it would be pretty cool that we can agree on. So in other words, we have a lot of exciting ideas. I'm very eager to share with you. But for now, I'll have to ask for patience. But it's definitely something we are considering.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you guys know, but we are quite a small development team. So we have a lot of ideas and we want to please the community, but ideas take time to develop and trial and error and all that kind of thing. So be patient with us, please. We want to make you all happy, but it might take time and some things might not be possible. But we will do our best. So, next question, again from Luca, thank you. Will there be official mod support, unofficial mod support in the form of acceptance of mods, or will there be no mod support at all? Or will there be any support for community generated in game content, possibly even Steam Workshop support?
So we want to keep an open mind that features can be added depending on the community feedback, the involvement, and what is popular requests. That overall, we see the community as being a vital part of the game development and working together to build a great game. In other words, nothing is set in stone, but there's no plans at this time.
We're very open-minded. But no, you did miss a lot, Mobius. It's okay. And anyway, for those that are arriving now, don't worry. I will upload, like the BOD should be saved in the Twitch channel. And anyway, I will upload the video to YouTube later today. So if you're late or you couldn't be here and you missed it and you're sad about it, don't worry. You will be able to watch it anyway. So on to the next question. Again from Radioactive Lobster. Will the arsenal be expanded from what we've already seen in the beta? A thought occurred that there seems to be very few ship-mounted countermeasures. Only one I can think of is the kinetic point defense system. But maybe things like chaff to disrupt enemy ship lock-ons or disrupt homing projectiles. Something that can counter the frost morph could be handy too. There were a few instances where our ship was basically destroyed by a frost morph on account of it striking the ship from an angle that none of our hard points could shoot it from, leaving us frozen in place and unable to continue the mission.
So yeah, those frost morphs. So first off, blind spots are a natural part of the game because it is unavoidable, and we encourage pilot to turret communication. That being said, the case that you describe here with the frost morph is, I agree that it's a bit too harsh in the balancing, and we of course adjust that. So yay for CBT feedback. So for the second part of the question, yes. That's the way we see it. Is that we've created the base for the game, which with a selection or an array of systems that players can play with and use. So we see the future development is just adding more of these systems and toys to as variation. Give an example of something we have plans for to try out a limited angle weapon system that is very powerful, but requires tight communication between pilot, gunner, and loader. And yeah,
Can we call that gun like the Friendship Destroyer? I think it's fitting.
that's a good nickname for the gun. Yeah,
You can either
everything's gonna go wrong.
yeah, you can either play Monopoly with your friends, or you can go and play this turret. So
Exactly.
next question, and this one is from Cake the Crazy. Even though this game is advertised as a team-based adventure, many players get feedback commenting on how solo play was very difficult, especially if you don't have any friends online at the time but you still want to play the game. Are there any plans toward smaller or larger crude size vessels? Say something nimble for 1 to 2 players or something massive for 4 to 6 players.
So yes, it's something we are aware of, and yes, our priority is a team-based adventure. That being said, there is some balancing needed for solo players. So it's easier to win and some grinding while you wait for your buddies to come online. We get that. The frigate class is made to be playable for 2 players with a central quarter that makes it easy to access the various ship systems for a relatively small crew. We made sure that we have a matchmaking system, which we plan to continue improving. So it's easy to meet new players and, of course, support dynamic joining so that you can have a friend drop in. Not to mention our Discord channel, where there is a looking for group channel, which I actually used myself during the CBT and played with a cool group. Shout out to you guys. So yeah, that's
Yes, indeed. Like it was very active during the betas, and players were like getting up from bed earlier than the friends, and they couldn't play with the friends, so they were asking for other people to play. And some groups really formed up and played together for hours, so that's a really good sign. So that's all the specific questions we selected for today. But I have a final question that, even if no one really asked it specifically in the channel we made for depth questions, I've seen conversations around it in our Discord, and I think it's a very popular question. So
shoot.
is it going to be an early access for Void Crew?
Maybe. I'm in a teasing mood, right? So first of all, we want to work closely with the Void Crew community in building a great co-op game. We encourage feedback and input, and we try our hardest to be responsive. Of course, we can't do everything. Some things might be out of scope or maybe not in alignment with the direction of the game, but as a community, we see the community as the foundation for the future development of Void Crew. We're already getting really good feedback from that community and working to integrating that into the game. As an example, the community requested specific improvements to our pinging system. And remember, early on, I spoke about one of the pillars of the game was co-op, and so this is good, relevant input, and we have upgraded our pinging system with that feedback in mind. So if you haven't already, check out the stream earlier this week about the pinging system. Maybe, Charlotte, you can.
Yep. I just left the link to the YouTube video in the chat. So if you want to go and watch that, it's a very short 3-minute video.
Yeah. So thank you for that. I can say that we have several more community updates in our pipeline already. So long story short, we are neither confirming nor denying early access at this time.
Damn. But you will know in time. Like I say this a lot around Discord. We can always tell you guys about everything, but the moment we can tell you, you will be the first to know. Like we will communicate as soon as we can. So yeah, those were all the questions we had for today. Really, if you've liked this, we might do it again. We don't know. Maybe even other members of the developing team. Who knows? Just if you like this, tell us if you like this, and we might just push around and try to make another one. I wanted to thank you all again for being here and for being so involved with the game, especially. CBT was amazing. We have a lot of people like very liking the game and involved and asking when they can play again and giving feedback, and that's amazing to hear. It really lifts our spirits up. If you're new around here and you don't know much about Void Crew, but you got interested because of this stream, Reminder that you can always now join our Discord. I'll leave in the link in chat. It's a very humble space station where you can witness my silly sense of humor that sucks. And also here
We love it.
important,
We love it.
also keep up to date with everything Void Crew related. And if you like the game, I have a special request to ask from you guys. I don't know if this is common knowledge, okay, but especially for small developers such as us, showing your interest in the game, wishlisting, adding it to your wishlist in Steam really, really help us. So if you like Void Crew, please go ahead and wishlist the game on a stream. So thank you, Daniel, for being here and getting put against the wall and answering these very hard questions.
And thank you. My pleasure. See you around, guys.
Have a great weekend, guys, and don't create too much chaos. Save some of it for your next Void Crew playing session. Bye-bye.